Hello, Lovelace, and welcome to today's science lesson, which continues our work on sound. And you can see our LO for today is, can I demonstrate sounds with different pitch and volume? Now, these are two words you've probably heard before. You should have probably heard in music lessons, the pitch and volume of a sound. But let's just remind ourselves, first of all, of last time's lesson, the ear, the human ear. Let's just take ourselves on a quick journey, reminding ourselves how sound reaches the ear and allows us to actually hear the sounds themselves and understand them. So the first step is that sound waves are collected by the pinna. Remember, the pinna is the fleshy part of the ear on the outside of your head, and it's shaped in such a way that it guides sound waves into your ear. Oops. Raise the head there a little bit, sorry. Two, the waves travel along the ear canal or the auditory canal, and they reach the eardrum. Now, remember, the eardrum is a really tight, thin piece of tissue that when the sound wave hits it, it vibrates. Now, immediately on the other side of the eardrum are the three tiny bones, the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. And they bump against each other, and they actually amplify the vibrations. They make the vibrations appear even bigger so that the message definitely gets through to the next part of the hearing process, which is that snail-shaped thing, the cochlea. And the cochlea turns those sound waves into electrical signals. Remember, over 15,000 little hairs inside the cochlea that vibrate as the sound waves hit them. And these send electrical signals, electrical messages down the auditory nerve to the brain. And the brain is able to decode those messages and tell you exactly what you're listening to. An incredible piece of kit. Okay, so that's the human ear. Now, I just thought I'd slot in a little poem. It seems very, very strange for a science lesson, but it'll make sense in a moment. So this is a poem about some of the sounds we're surrounded by and asks us to consider what it will be like without them. The poem is called The Sound Collector, and it's by a very, very famous children's poet called Roger McGough, who you might have heard of. A stranger called this morning, dressed all in black and grey, put every sound into a bag and carried them away. The whistling of the kettle, the turning of the lock, the purring of the kitten and the ticking of the clock, the popping of the toaster, the crunching of the flakes. When you spread the marmalade, the scraping noise it makes, the hissing of the frying pan, the ticking of the grill, the bubbling of the bathtub as it starts to fill, the drumming of the raindrops on the window pane. When you do the washing up, the gurgle of the drain, the crying of the baby, the squeaking of the chair, the swishing of the curtain, the creaking of the stair. A stranger called this morning. He didn't leave his name, left us only silence. Life will never be the same. So a lovely poem, and as I say, the middle of a science lesson is not normally where we would find a poem. But I just want you to think about all the different sounds that we hear every day and how they help us interpret the world around us. Whether it's speech, people talking to you, whether it's music, trying to get a mood across, whether it's alarms and warning sounds, whether it's the television, whether the sound is entertaining us, informing us, warning us. Sounds are crucial, crucial to our understanding of the world around us. And there are so many different types. Sounds can be loud or quiet. They can be high or low. They can be pleasant or really, really annoying. They can be relaxing or urgent. They can be pure sounds or part of a collection of noise and sounds. So lots and lots and lots of different types. Now, just take a moment and imagine what life would be like with no sounds in your life. There are people who experience this every day. We're lucky. We get to hear these sounds. So let's appreciate them and recognize just how wonderful they are. Now, Reminder from last time, sounds are made by vibrations. Okay, something shaking. When the object vibrates, and it's usually after a force has been applied, so it's been hit or pushed or twanged or flicked or whatever it is, we've normally applied a force to it. The air around it vibrates as well. Okay, so we start with the object itself vibrating, and then the air around it starts to vibrate. We showed that with a little pebble in a pond and the ripples going out as far as the eye can see until they gradually and eventually disappear. Now, I've said there that the vibrations travel through the air. Now, it depends what the object is in. Normally, it would be air, but sound can travel through liquids, other gases, and solids. So whatever medium it's in, okay? So the object vibrates, and then the air around it, or whatever it is surrounding that object, vibrates as well. And this creates a sound wave. And the sound wave spreads outwards until eventually it runs out of energy and stops. But it spreads in all directions. Now, here we have a little diagram, or two diagrams to be precise. The first one, the one at the top, is a diagram of air particles moving from the speaker to the ear. Now, we can't see the air particles. This is a diagram, this is an artist's impression, showing how the particles sort of collide with each other and send a message, one particle at a time, all the way through the air to our ear. Okay, so that's just an artist's impression. It doesn't really look like that because we can't see air particles. But we can see sound. Seems like a strange thing to say, but there are machines that allow us to see a sound. And we draw a sound wave like this. So sound waves can be seen on special machines called oscilloscopes. The oscilloscopes will actually show you a sound wave. It will show you the shape of the sound itself. So here's an oscilloscope. They come in lots of shapes and sizes, but basically it's a machine with a monitor, with a screen on it, and the screen shows the wave, the sound wave, that's being fed into it. Okay, so whatever noise is being plugged in, so you can see there's something on the end of this cable, we don't know what, and the noise that's being made there is translated into a sound wave on the screen. Now, different wave shapes mean different sounds. So not all sounds will look like this. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Now, here are two, and hopefully you can see the difference between the two. This one is quite steep, and what we call quite a narrow wave. It's quite a short wave. So from there to there is quite a lot shorter. So one complete wave, so up, down, and up again, fits in quite a small space, whereas this one is quite a long wave. So it starts there, and before we get back to the same point, we're all the way down to there. So this is quite a lot wider. Okay, so quite a narrow wave, quite a wide one. That means two different types of sound. This short wave shows that we've got a high-pitched sound. So the shorter the distance from where you start to returning to that same point, the shorter that distance means a higher pitched sound. So it's really, really high and up there. Whereas this one, if it's a longer wave, it's much wider like this one, this is showing you the lower sounds. Okay, so narrow, taller peaks like this, high sound, wide, sweeping waves like this, low sound. Here's two more. Now you can see that this one, the wave is really, really low. It's not very tall at all. So if a wave has not got very much height to it, then that means it's very, very quiet. A whisper would look like this on a sound wave. Whereas tall waves, so really big, high waves, they're very, very loud. Okay, so there are lots of other different sound waves and different shapes of sound waves, but these are four basic ones just for us to get an understanding. So we've got the narrow waves that show that it's a high-pitched sound. We've got the wide waves, the long waves that show it's a low-pitched sound. We've got the very short, or say not very high. That's probably a better way to describe it. The not very high waves show that it's very quiet, and the big high waves, the very tall ones, show that it's very, very loud. Okay. So we've got 3 sound waves here, and you help me out by telling me which is which. So which of the 4 sounds is the loudest? So which of those is the loudest sound? Sound 1, sound 2, sound 3, or sound 4? Which one's the highest pitch? Okay, so which one is the highest sound? Which one is the quietest? Which one of these is the most like a whisper? And which one is the lowest pitch? So which one is the lowest sound? Okay, have a think for a second, and then I'll give you the answers. So the loudest. The loudest is number 2, because you can see the wave is almost reaching the top of the screen. That is a tall wave. That must be a really big, loud sound. The highest pitch is 4, because these are really short waves. So very steep ones, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. We're getting lots of waves on the page. So that's a high pitch. The quietest is number 1, because you can see the height of the wave is, well, it's the smallest of all 4. So this is the quietest. And then the lowest pitch, well, it's the only one left, is 3, because that's a really big wide wave. But we can just about get 1 full wave on the screen. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This one only 1. So it's a really low sound. Okay, well done if you got all 4 of those. Now, a single drum, you imagine one drum, it's quite limited in the sound it can make. Yes, you can hit it harder, so you're making a louder sound. Or you could use different sticks or brushes or all sorts of things to make the sound it makes slightly different. But a whole set of drums can give you a lot more sound. It gives you can change up the volume, you can play with the pitch, you can have a lot more fun and create a lot more notes. Okay? And that's where your task for today comes in. Because what I'd like you to do is to create a homemade drum kit. I want you to use things from around the house. So pots and pans, tubs, boxes, surfaces, anything you like. And you can use anything you like to hit them with, within reason. Okay? But using items from around the house, create a drum kit that will make sounds of different volume and different pitch. So you're trying to create as many different notes as you possibly can, as many different sounds. They could be high sounds or low sounds, louder sounds or quieter sounds. You might use different tools to hit them with, so you might be able to create different sounds in that way. And what you're aiming to do is, first of all, see how many different sounds you can make. But then the ultimate challenge is to see if you can play an actual tune using your drum kit. So a recognizable tune. Keep it reasonably simple. Maybe something like Happy Birthday. But entirely up to you. Can you play a recognizable tune on your drum kit? So there's your challenge. You've got to come up with a homemade drum kit that will produce a selection of notes that you can then use to make a tune. And as far as recording goes, it will be fabulous if you could video your attempt, video your piece of music, stick it onto Tapestry, and let's see if we can identify the tune that you've put together. Okay, so there's your challenge. Create your own drum kit, your own homemade instrument that has a selection of notes, a selection of volume and pitch to allow you to play your own piece of music. Okay? One final warning, please be considerate of other people in the house. Okay? You are going to be making a bit of noise for this one. So think about where you're doing it. Think about when you're doing it. So you're not disturbing people who are busy with their own things. Okay? Maybe even ask permission if you can just have 5 minutes of making a bit of noise and then leave people in peace. Okay, so do please be considerate. I know I'm asking you to make a bit of noise, but think about everyone else in the house whilst you're doing this. Okay? Have fun with it though. Have fun. Create a piece of music for me and get it up onto Tapestry so I can have a listen and see if I can recognize your tune. For now, that's the end of today's lesson. So as usual, look after yourselves, guys. Look after those around you, and I will see you very soon.